Hello my dear learners, and here is another video from the topic of perfect competition. Here we are going to analyze that how in a perfectly competitive market, when firms they are either earning profit or losses, what will be the response of these profit and losses on the economic profit which they are earning, or economic losses which they are earning. And further we will also discuss that where the market is going to be in equilibrium at the end. Let us try to understand first what do we mean by long run equilibrium, and how does the long run supply curve look like for any good. The long run supply curve, when we are talking about long run supply curve for any product, it is equivalent to ask that what is actually the marginal cost of producing additional unit of that good, whether it is wheat or whether it is corn or any other product, or additional water bottle. When we are talking about the long run supply curve, we are always concerned with that, with the additional cost of producing additional unit for that good in the long run. Okay. Further, in the long run, the supply in the market basically depends on the entry and the exit of the firms, and further their ability to alter the inputs or in the long run, you know that all the inputs they become variable, whether it is factors of production, whether these are the human resources, capital resources, or natural resource, not natural resources, but yeah, we can say the technology. So if at the start, we can say in any market, if all the firms in a market, in a certain market, let us say that in corn or in wheat market, all the farmers, or they are earning zero economic profit. What does it mean? It means that they all are in the long run equilibrium. Why? Because their price of the good is exactly equals to the average total cost, or that's why no firm is actually able to earn profit or losses. Okay, so if all the firms consider a situation when all the firms they are earning normal profit, or zero economic profit, if in a certain market, let us say that it is a market for water bottles or wheat. Let us suppose that one of the firm just opt a new technology by which it can reduce its cost to produce water bottle. Then in that case, what will happen, that this firm which just opt a new technology is actually able to earn economic profit, but only for a short period of time. Why? Because of the free entry and exit. And also, so when this firm which opt a new technology, that actually reduces the cost per unit, or the cost to produce one bottle, or per bottle, the new firms or the existing firm in that market, they try to opt the same technology, but it takes little while, it takes little time to opt the new technology, or to alter the inputs. So during that period, when the new firms or the existing firm tries to opt that technology, or enter in this market, in this market where a firm is earning economic profit, the firm which is actually which already opt at technology, new technology, that actually cause a reduction in the cost to produce water bottles, for example, it will enjoy that profit. but only in the short run, or but only for a short period of time. And as new firms and the existing firm of the same technology, and they will be able to share the profit which that individual firm was earning at the start. The profit is going to be lower and lower as more and more firms they will enter in this market, and then there will be a point when all the firms in this market are going to earn zero economic profit. So the firm which was earning profit at the start and the firms which have already entered in the market, they will have their long run equilibrium, because all the profit will be gone because of the entry of new firms, and also the altering of the inputs or technology. So this is the way how you have to understand that when and how we can define the long run equilibrium for a firm and also for a market. So the fact that a new firm could enter or leave in the market at any time means that production can always be increased because of the entry, or reduced because of the exit in the long run at a cost of $1 per bushel. So in the long run, the long run marginal cost is become equals to the long run average total cost. So long run supply curve become horizontal at $1 in this corn in this for this corn farmer, and it is equals to the minimum average total cost. So in the long run, both marginal cost and long run average total cost, they are constant and also they are same, and in our particular example it is equals to so in the long run, we can say that the supply curve for a market is always going to be horizontal line, or we can say that it is parallel to the horizontal axis, and it just stays at a price of $1, where whether a firm is entering in the market or leaving the market, there is always the price remains at a level of 1, which is also equals to the average total cost. It remains same to the average total cost and marginal cost, and also the marginal revenue. So in the long run, the equilibrium, the market equilibrium, or the firms, they are in equilibrium, in a state of equilibrium where the price is equals to the where the price is equals to the long run marginal cost and long run marginal cost, long run marginal revenues, and also and it is also equals to the average total cost and price. And this condition can be summarized. So the condition for long run equilibrium where all the firms earn zero economic profit can be written like this: that in the long run the price of the good must be equals to the long run marginal revenue, long run marginal cost, and long run average cost, which is quite different from the situation in the short run. In the short run, it is possible that the price, marginal revenue, and marginal cost, they are different from the average cost. But in the long run, and that's why when there is a difference between the marginal sorry price and the average cost, it actually generates either a loss or a profit for the existing firms. But in the long run, both price and average cost, they become equal, so there will be no difference, and all the firms, and there will be no profit, no loss. So in the long run, the price become exactly equals to the long run average cost. So there are basically two attractive features of perfect competition of long run equilibrium. The first one is that market outcome is efficient in the long run, because the value to the buyer of the last unit, which is $1 per bushel, is exactly the same as the long run marginal cost of producing it. And then, so marginal benefits is equals to the marginal cost. That's why we can say that the market outcome is efficient in the long run in case of perfect competition. And then the second feature is that the market outcome can be described as fair because buyers are paying the cost incurred by the supplier. So the buyers are paying the cost or the price which is exactly equals to the cost which suppliers are bearing to produce that additional unit. So now we are going to see that how changes in demand actually cause a change in the profit and the losses of the perfectly competitive firm. So an increase in the demand creates economic profit in the short run and induce entry in the long run. So if there is an increase in demand, then it will cause a positive economic profit only in the short run. And that positive economic profit induce entry in the long run. And so ultimately all the firms are going to earn zero economic profit as this entry continues. On the other hand, if there is a reduction in demand, okay, we are considering supply remains same, but there is a reduction in demand. It creates economic losses in the short run and forces some firms to exit from the industry in the long run. So let us try to understand those changes in demand and their impact on the profit and loss of the competitive firms by considering an example of hairdresser. So let us say that there are too many stylists or hairdressers there in a city, or there are only few aerobics instructor in the city. So in that case, let us see that how the individual changes in the demand or individual preferences of the people actually change the profit and the loss for these two different firms. So let us say that both hairdresser and the aerobic instructors they are having these initial, they are working at their initial equilibrium level, right? So let us first consider that all these suppliers are currently earning zero economic profit. What does it mean? That this is the industrial portion, industry of hairdresser, and this is the individual hairdresser. And we are assuming that all the hairdressers in this industry they are earning zero economic profit, mean that the price determined in the industry is exactly equals to the average total cost of this average total cost and the marginal cost of this individual hairdresser. uh, okay, so there is no difference between price and average total cost. All the hairdressers they are earning same zero economic profit. In the same way, all the aerobic instructor they are also earning the same economic profit which is equals to zero, and the price of one aerobic class is determined here in the market because of the interaction of demand and supply. The price is 10, right? And this is the price at which each instructor is actually earning a zero economic profit, because this price is exactly equals to the average total cost. And you should remember that the difference between price and the average total cost defines the positive economic surplus or losses. So these firms they are neither earning losses nor earning profit, they are earning just normal profit. So let us assume that the preferences of people they have changed now, and what is exactly the change? They people they prefer longer hair and increase physical fitness, because there is a, maybe let us suppose that there is a new research which emphasize on the physical fitness. So people, they, let us suppose that they are they now want more physical fitness than the haircut. So in that case, let us have a look what happened to the profit or loss for these hairdressers and the aerobic classes or aerobic instructors. Okay, so what has happened? We are assuming that if let us say that if the initial demand and supply is at 500 haircuts per day, right? And the price for each haircut is determined, the equilibrium price for each a haircut is $15. So at this price, 500 haircuts are demanded and supplied by the hairdresser. Okay, now we are assuming that people they are preferring to have long hair. So there is a reduction in the amount of the haircut from 500 to 350. So this will cause the demand curve to shift from D to D prime, showing a lower demand. So this will this shift of demand curve will will cut the supply curve at this new point, and this point will define the new price, which is 12. So the new price for each haircut has decreased from 15 to 12, and the number of haircut has reduced from 500 to 350. So this is the situation in the haircut market, that the overall demand overall demand and supply has reduced, and at the same time the price also has reduced. On the other hand, with aerobic market, we can say that if the initial equilibrium is at this point, right, and the demand for aerobic classes is 200 classes per day and at a price of $10 per class, and because of the new research, new demand, the demand curve will shift upward, showing higher demand for aerobic classes. So this demand curve will intersect the supply curve at this point. So the new price is going to be $15, which is greater than the previous price, and also we can see that there is an increase in the supply and the demand for the aerobic classes. Okay, so now let us have a look at what happened to the profit of normal profit. Each firm they were earning normal profit before this new situation. So now we are going to see that what happened to the new to the loss and the profit in this new situation, or with this new increase in demand. So now we are going to see that how changes in demand cause can create economic losses or economic profit for a perfectly competitive firm. So in our example, we have seen that there is a change in there is a decrease in the demand for the haircut, and that will cause the price to decrease from 15 to 12. So at this new price, the new level of output which the firm is going to produce, or the hairdresser are going to provide how many number of cuts, it is determined by equating price with marginal cost. So this typical hair salon will provide Q prime H number of haircuts. And in order to see whether this firm is earning losses or profit, what we need to know, we need to know the average total cost. So in order to find average total cost, we will move from this point up to the average total cost, and average total cost is 15.5. So to provide each haircut, the average total cost is equals to 15.5. So if we calculate the distance between price and the average total cost, it is going to price minus average total cost, it is going to be negative. So the firm is actually earning a loss equal to the area of this yellow rectangle, which is area of this yellow rectangle. So the new changes in demand causing a loss for each hairdresser working under this perfectly competitive market of hair salons. On the other hand, let us look at the situation for aerobic studio. Or here we can see that the demand for aerobic has increased, which is causing price to increase from 12 to 15, right? So at this new price, what will be the profit or loss for this each in for this typical aerobic instructor or studio? Okay, so at this price, what we need to know, we first need to know that how many classes the this typical aerobic studio will provide. So the number of classes can be find out by equating marginal cost with marginal price. So it is equals to Q prime A. So, and by providing this Q prime A number of classes, how much profit the firm is earning or losses the firm is earning, it depends on the average cost. So we need to know the average cost. So that's why we will move from this point of equilibrium uh, to the average total cost. So average total cost, it is here, and then move on the cost axis. So the average total cost is 11. So when we, and it means what we can see from here, that price is greater than the average total cost. So it means that the firm or the aerobic instructor, they are earning profit at this new increase in demand situation, and their profit is equals to the area of this purple rectangle. And you know that how to calculate the profit, it is P minus price minus average total cost to the level of output. So this is the way how we have to understand the changes in demand can create profit or losses for different firms in an economy. So because of the changes in preferences, demand shifts in each market. And in hair market, what will happen, that the lower equilibrium price will cause, in the short run, the lower equilibrium price will cause economic losses. So in order to avoid those losses, some of the hair salons, they will leave the market, and that will cause the price goes back to the original equilibrium, but now with the lower equilibrium quantity in the long run. And then on the other hand, in the Arabic market, higher equilibrium price in the short run cause positive economic profits, and that will attract new firms, new Arabic instructor to start their Arabic studios in this market. And this because of that, price goes down to the original, because the new firms, they are sharing the profit. So and the supply also increase. Supply of aerobic classes will also increase. So the equilibrium, so the price goes down to the original equilibrium, but now with the higher equilibrium quantity. Okay, so let us consider what is the barriers to entry. Barriers to entry is any force that prevent firms from entering a new market. And You can take the example of copyright, and it is in form of some legal constraint. For example, the publisher of a book enjoys copyright protection granted by the government, and this law actually forbids other publishers from producing and selling their own editions of the protected work. And this barrier allows the publisher of the book to keep the price of the book higher than its cost of production for some extended period allowed by the government. In the same way, you can take the example of patent. Okay, and in the same way, we can say that the freedom to enter a market is also is the freedom to leave that market. When the airline industry was regulated by the US federal government, okay, we are taking the example of USA as airline industry. Then in that case, air carriers were often required to serve some specific markets, even though they were losing money in them. So these firms are actually finding it difficult to leave that industry once they enter in that industry. So they become reluctant to enter new markets, and so in that case we can say that barriers to exit thus become barriers to entry. So this is all from this chapter, chapter 7, where you have learned about one of the market structure, which is perfect competition, and you learn how the firms are deciding about their that level of output, which gives them the maximum level of output. And then you have also understand how the entry and exit is actually important for full working of perfectly competitive market. And further, you also have learned that how the changes in demand in the short run actually cause a change in the profit and the losses of a firm in the long run and also in the short run. And further, one of the most important point which students usually makes, that the firms can only earn profit or losses in the short run, not in the long run. In the long run, all the perfectly competitive firms, they earn normal profit, which is equals to where economic profit is equals to 0. So these are some important point I just revised from this chapter.